Hi everybody, welcome back and Happy New Year. Let's hope 2021 is better than 2020 was, but then again that really isn't a very high bar, is it? So anyway, what I want to talk about in this video is resin printing. And also, since I have now had the Qidi Tech Shadow 5.5S printer behind me for 2 months and I have printed a buttload of stuff with it, I want to talk about, kind of a 60-day follow-up review of it, what I like, what I don't like, should you buy it, should you look for something else, that kind of thing. But also, more importantly, I want to talk about resin printing itself. Do I like it? Am I enjoying it? Do I want to continue it? And maybe more importantly, do you want to do it? Will you like it? And maybe you absolutely need it for what you want to do. But let's talk about those things. I'm going to flip the camera around. We'll talk about the things I've printed. We'll talk about the things I've found that make it a little bit better and easier to do. And we'll talk about the printer itself and we'll compare it to FDM printing. We will see, do we absolutely have to have it, or will we just like it and think it's a lot of fun like we thought FDM printing was. So hang with me and we will cover those subjects. Okay, so first off, let's start by talking about the printer itself. As we talked about in the previous video, in the review video, it appears to be extremely well made. I have had very, very little problems with it that weren't either something I caused or something that, had I done a little bit more research, I would have known better about. But let's cover the most obvious. I mentioned earlier, or in the previous video, the review, that the fan was loud. It is loud. Honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. It may bother you, but it doesn't bother me, so that's kind of a subjective thing. Secondly is this cover. This cover, as it comes, and you'll see I added these handles to it. These are just some stick-on handles I got. I discovered these. Somebody on another site, a YouTuber, I think it may have been Uncle Jesse, mentioned he got those. But without them, there's no way to pick this thing up and down without putting your fingers against the body of it. And if you have resin on your fingers, you are going to get resin on that cover. And let me tell you one thing about resin. I'm not the neatest person in the world. I'm sure my wife is in the other room nodding her head. But it is bloody hard to keep that resin from getting all over everything. Every time you pick something up, it's going to be sticky with resin. And it is just a constant battle to keep cleaned up after it. And you can clean up after it a number of ways. You can wipe it up with a towel with degreaser or with alcohol or acetone on it, or you can just take a UV light and shine it on it and harden it and then pick it up or scrape it up, whatever you like the most. But the other moan and niggle, I don't know if you can see it up here, is the gold paint. I hypothesized that I thought the gold paint might be powder coating. It is not. It is just paint, and you can see up here a number of places where it has started to come off on me. That's a shame because it is a very attractive device, the way painted gold and red like that, but just be aware that over time that paint is probably going to come off. So there's really only one other moan and niggle I can think of, and that's the vat here and the means of holding it down against the LCD panel. I don't know if you can see it here very well, but where these screws, these finger screws that tighten it down go, they're just drilled normally and they're flat on the bottom. I mean, there's a little bit of taper to them, but it's not much. And these screws just pretty much, they just end. They're not ground or tapered or have a ball on the end in any way. So it kind of makes it a little bit of a niggle to try and get it lined up. You got to put it in and wiggle it around a little bit in order to get that nice and down in that hole. Had they tapered those better, or else, or even better, made a rounded profile in the hole and on the end of the screw, it would have made that a lot easier. That might sound like a real niggle to you, and in a way it kind of is, because you can do that pretty much easily on your own, but I think it should have come that way. But you know what, that's it. That's my only real complaints about it. It prints really, really nice, and if you learn how to do it, and I've showed some of the others, but take a look at this. See if it'll focus on it. This is in the clear. I don't know which way it's going to show the best. which way the camera will focus on it. But if you learn how to support these tiny little models, and this thing is tiny. I got big fingers, but you can imagine how tiny this thing is. And if you learn how to support things properly, you can get some amazing, amazing results from it. And this is the clear filament. I have had some mixed results with the clear filament, but it is capable of some amazing tiny detail and looking very good in doing it. And this might be something you didn't see. This is a Nuka-Cola machine from the game's Fallout. The white doesn't show the detail as nicely as some of the other colors did. I got it just because I didn't want to have everything gray, even though most of you will probably, that do these type of small things, will probably be painting it. So that pretty much covers the printer itself. I think if you are starting out in resin printing and you aren't sure of what you would like and what you need, this is probably going to be a good one. It's still only $150. It's a good place to start. Now, things you can do to make it a little easier, things you can do to help get the mess down to a bearable level. First and foremost, I'm not going to talk about the danger of getting the resin on your fingers. I have worked in some pretty awful environments in my life with a lot of different chemicals. So I kind of have already made up my mind how careful I need to be. That's going to be up to you. The pull-on rubber, like doctor's examination gloves, they're just a pain in the butt. So I picked up a pair of these. They're off Amazon. I think they were like $8 or $9. I'll put a link to them below. I upped my cleaning game from my Cool Whip container to a pickle jar. The pickle jar has a handle in it with a little tray that lifts up. It makes cleaning quite a bit easier, and I think they're only like 12 or 14 bucks, something along those lines. They have a nice seal and 4 buckles that keep it down tight so it won't leak. The other thing I did was I printed this from Thingiverse. This allows me to put a container under it, and yes, it will hold the big containers as well. And I'll put a link to this below on Thingiverse. It'll hold a big container under it as well, and it has a funnel in it. And you get some filters like these. And the author of this has a part that lets you slide a filter into it to cut it so it fits into the funnel, and the funnel comes out, and the funnel moves up and down, and this part that holds the vat moves up and down, and then when you drain it back in, you just take the vat. Let me get it back off of there. I shouldn't have tightened it down again, should I have? You just take the vat, and you can slide it down in there like that, and it will allow the vat to drain into the bottle, and you can walk away and just let it drain. But I'm telling you, you will have, if you're anything like me, everything will be sticky from this resin. And again, wipe it up, use a UV light on it. Another thing I got that made this quite a bit easier was this rubber mat. I try and keep everything I'm doing over top of this silicone rubber mat. They're like $5 or $6 on Amazon. You can wipe it off with, again, a alcohol-soaked rag, or just like me, just take it out and set it in the sun for 15 minutes, and that will stop it from being sticky from whatever resin you've spilled on it. So, we've talked about the quality of the prints. Now we want to talk about, do I enjoy it? Well, let's also take a quick look over, you know what, let's talk about, do I enjoy it first? And the answer is, quite honestly, I do not enjoy resin printing. One of the things I loved about FDM printing was the machinery itself. I'm a lover of complex mechanical machinery that whirs and clicks and bangs and clanks, and even better if it's slightly dangerous, you know, that makes it even more attractive to me. And FDM printing filled that bill perfectly. It whirs, it clicks, it bumps, it thumps. You can watch it in action. It was fascinating to me. And maybe I'm just jaded after 3 years of being involved in 3D printing, but the resin printing has nowhere near that allure to me. You can't really watch it because most of what's happening is happening under the level of the resin, liquid resin that's in it. It doesn't move around very much. It only goes up and down. You don't really even hear that very much under the cover with the fans going on. So to me, it's just not as fun. Now, do you need it? Personally, I'm not a tabletop gamer. I'm not involved in jewelry design. I honestly do almost nothing that requires that level of tiny detail. And I'm not a guy, I'm a pretty utilitarian person. I'm not a guy who's going to fill up his office or rec room with all these little tiny statues of fantasy figures. I'm sorry, that's just not me. So if you're if you're a tabletop gamer, if you love all these little fantasy figures, here's another one here that turned out really well. I actually printed a couple of those. I wouldn't know who these people even are other than memes on the internet. So I don't know. And you can see the clear filament. This is supposed to be a dungeon door. The clear filament prints really nice. If you're the kind of person who needs this level of quality or likes to print these kind of things, in my opinion, you want a resin printer, because FDM printing, I have tried and I can't get it to come anywhere close to the level of detail I get with resin printing. Now, are you a cosplayer? If you are, then you probably want resin printing, but to be honest with you, the print area is so small, I'm honestly not sure exactly what it would do for you. Maybe one of the newer ones with a print area that's twice as big. I think over on Uncle Jesse's site, he's printing full-size Iron Man masks now on some of the bigger printers. But those printers aren't really designed, in my opinion, or meant, not designed, but meant for a noob at resin printing. Unless you know that's what you want to do, then by all means start out with one big enough to do it. So where are we going to go? You have to make that decision for yourself. I don't think it's as fun. I have no extreme use or need for the level of small detail available in resin prints. Although it is fun, like you can see my little... I could have certainly printed this on one of the FDM printers and it would not have looked anywhere near as nice. But nonetheless, it is it's amazing the quality. But I'm not going to fill, say, my tiny little 10 by 10 office. I'm not going to fill it with this stuff. I just don't have the space for it. Now, take a look at this here. This here, all these are the parts for this.
Okay, so this is what that mass of parts I just showed you looks like when it's all put together. This is a model over on my mini factory called Cybermetal Biker Chick. The author is, and apologies in advance for butchering the name, Armenos Didziokas. I hope that's even slightly close, Armenos. If you're watching this, I apologize if it's not. It is, and I'll put a link to it below, it is $14.45 for the model. It comes with instructions on how to assemble it and put it together for it to work, and how it goes together, because it does print in so many pieces, and I think it is absolutely an amazing model. I wish I had the kind of a skill in that software, in these type of sculpting software programs to do this, but everything I do looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man or Marshmallow Girl. And as I did mention, I'm not really the kind of person that wants my workspace or my living area filled up with this kind of thing. Hey, you know what? Guns, knives, motorcycles, and girls, what's not to like? I thought, you know what, I've got to do at least one, and this is the one I decided to do. So thanks to Armenos for this amazing model with all the instructions, and I'm going to give it my best go, because I don't see another one yet that's been printed and painted other than the one in this. So that's that. I am going to give it my best shot, and let's get back to the video.
And I intend to, when I was younger, I used to make car and motorcycle models, and I'd paint them, and I thought it might be fun to do at least one. So this thing prints, the motorcycle itself is 10 pieces, and I think the girl that's in it is another 10 or 12 pieces with the gun and the sword and all the other swords and arms and legs and different body parts and all of that. So I thought that might be fun to do. This is probably going to be a long-term project for me. Painting it, my painting skills, whatever I might have had when I was 15 years old, are long gone. But I do have an airbrush, I have paints and paint brushes, and I have the ability to relearn how to do it. So you know what, I thought it might be fun, but it will be a long-term project for me. I'll keep you posted on it now and again when I get things start to painted and put together. But other than that, it's a long-term project. So, to answer the question, do I need resin printing? Hell no, I don't need resin printing. Do I enjoy it? Yeah, not really that much, to be honest with you. Will you enjoy it? I don't know. Do you need it? Again, only you can answer that question. But maybe here's some help for you in this video, and maybe I've answered some questions, and maybe I've given you some ideas with things to make it a little bit easier before you get started in it and you make big messes like I do. And also remember, you absolutely have to keep sunlight off of this while it's happening. You got to keep the cover on it. Anytime that you have exposed resin, you got to keep UV light off it, or you'll have hardened resin. So keep that one in mind. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I've helped you out. Please like and subscribe. Let's keep watching and let's keep 3D printing through 2021, and we'll all get through it together. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.